are accusations of dysfunctional communication starting to follow first-year football coach Kevin Sumlin from Texas to Arizona? Will eliminating kickoffs make college football safer? And is racism the motivation behind the firing of TUSD principal who changed grades? These stories and more next on the 520. Welcome to the 520. I'm Steve Nunez.
And I'm Arty the fourth. Thanks for joining us.
Before we get started, you never cease to amaze me. How dare you wear an Ohio State Buckeye shirt on this set? That's like wearing an ASU shirt.
Hey,
might as well kill me softly, bro,
But
Chacho.
it's the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl link.
It doesn't matter.
Up the street.
Buckeyes,
it's
to me,
local.
are ASU in the Big 12.
It's local.
Hate 'em.
It's local.
All right, you ready for this? Let's get started, man. Is Khalil Tate buying into U of A football coach Kevin Sumlin's coaching style, or is a disconnect in communication already brewing between the two? The 520 is airing this dirty laundry after learning former Aggies QB Jake Hubenak posted an article on TexasAgs.com that blames Sumlin's dysfunctional communication style as a reason five-star QBs Kyler Murray and Kyle Allen transferred within a week of each other in 2015.
So then is there a question of, is this transcending into Khalil Tate?
And we talked about this on the 520
Of course
before.
Of course we have. And now that this is up in the air, yes, this is potential for everybody. It is foreseeable for everybody. There is a history. Even last year with Khalil Tate, you know, he's never been held accountable in the fourth quarter for his losses. He wasn't even held accountable. There was no consequences for him in practice. So this is a potential for us. Now we have to put our attention to it.
Now, this article or this post by Hubenak was a bombshell in Texas because nobody spoke about this up until Monday. Now, Dallas News reached out to Kevin Sumlin and asked him about this on Monday, and he refused to comment on it. So it kind of says a lot that Kevin Sumlin doesn't want to talk about the sins of his past. But the question I have for you, do you think that's going to carry forward here? I mean, after the spring football game, did we see signs from Khalil Tate that maybe he has a personality change on the football field?
I don't think so with the players, and I think it's just because they're so new to it. It's a breath of fresh air the way Sumlin is. I think it's going to transition into his staff. His staff is there's a little bit of personality on his staff with Marcel Yates, with Mazzoni. All these guys have been successful everywhere except Arizona, and he's kind of just giving them the freedom to do as they please. He's not much of a micromanager. He's not going to yell at you. He's not going to, hold you accountable. So I think this might be a potential problem with his coaching staff.
I think so too, but you got to give Khalil props. He did perform extremely well.
He looks a lot better. I will give it to him. I will give it to him.
Look at some of these passes that he has here. I mean, of course, he's back to his run game, and of course they weren't tackling or anything, but he was putting some throws and some passes right where they needed to be.
Of course, and that's what I like about him. He's so much more patient in the pocket now. He's not just going to let one sling because he's in such a hurry. I like how he's instilled patience, and the Khalil Tate does nothing but good things for him.
What you like about the defense?
I don't like much about the defense. This is the third show I'm going to sound off on the defense. There's nothing good about the defense. I mean, we're talking about safeties that can't come up on sting up on the run. We're talking about outside linebackers that can't play man coverage on slots. And that's the way he wants to call it. He wants to have those DBs playing over top, and he wants to let the linebackers be held accountable for that man coverage. Those guys can't do it. They're puppies out there. They can't do that.
Well, back to the beginning. Okay, Kyle Allen, a quarterback under Sumlin who transferred from Texas A&M, he also corroborated Hubenak's story, and he also called out Sumlin for his dysfunction in communication, and he brought it all the way back to Johnny Manziel. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on,
of course,
moving forward to see how Khalil Tate behaves on campus and on the field.
I agree.
All right.
Our kickoffs on their way out in college football. The NCAA's Playing Rules Oversight Panel approved a new rule that will allow teams to fair catch any kickoff inside their 25-yard line for a touchback to the 25. The rule is clear, just to eliminate high-speed collisions.
I absolutely hate it. It takes away the anticipation and excitement of returning a kickoff for a score to win the game, especially when obviously the game is on the line. Why would you take away the kickoff seriously, we know the game is getting dangerous.
Of
We
course.
know players
Everybody's
are faster, bigger, and it's a Goliath sport. But it's the sport.
Of course.
And that's
of
why
course.
we keep watching. That's why on Saturdays and Sundays, people keep tuning in. There's millions of eyeballs. And guess what? Hundreds and hundreds upon thousands of people who go and watch the game, including us.
And to me, eliminate high-speed collisions. But here's who they're trying to protect. They're not trying to protect, you know, the average punt returner, kick returner who's been taught time and time again how to protect himself after he's so exposed to catching the punt. He's trying to protect, you know, the outside linebackers, the fullbacks, the tight ends that are the lead blockers that could potentially catch those infield kickoffs. He's trying to protect them because they're not trained to protect themselves. They don't know how to locate a ball in the air, catch it, and then one cut upfield. They're not
So
good
then
at that.
what happens
They'll
with
hurt
the onside
themselves.
kick, man?
With the onside
We're taking
kick,
away the excitement of the game
and I
to
think
protect a few people.
And I think that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to give it more excitement. They're trying to give it
there is
an
no
opportunity
excitement when you take away the onside kick.
an
or the
opportunity
kickoff.
for more offense, an opportunity for more of a fight back. And the stats, you know, in the NFL, it's like 1 in 370 or something like that. Onside kicks get recovered by the kicking team. They're putting more excitement in the offense's hands compared to.
So you'd like
a
to
bunch
see
of
the
special teams.
alternative then. You'd like to see them put the ball on the 35-yard line, give the receiving team or the offensive team a chance to make it to the 15 yards or gain 15 yards on one play, and then if they do, they continue on and try and score. To me, that's not earning it. That's giving it to them. The kickoff is like the grand slam of baseball. And when you have the bases loaded and someone comes up and hits a grand slam, everyone gets excited. And that's the way you win the game, right? All the players charge the field.
It's debatable, and it's also putting more accountability on the stars on the field. The quarterback, the running backs, the middle linebackers.
Then we're going to start debating the helmet-to-helmet hits, and again, all the flags are going to be thrown
There we go.
every game. And I mean, let's just go to flag football.
Let's not. I think this is a great
Flag
idea.
football.
I think it's a great idea.
All right, why isn't ESPN giving Kansas the Sean Miller treatment? Kansas is the FBI's latest victim to get caught in the web of college basketball's corruption case. The feds claim an Adidas executive paid the families of top recruits tens of thousands of dollars to sign with the Jayhawks and the shoe company once they turned pro. And not a whisper from ESPN's Jay Bilas and Dickie V, who blasted Sean Miller after they reported that he had a phone conversation trying to pay DeAndre Ayton $100,000.
And this one just gets me in all the right places.
Thank you.
For Bilas, for Vitale, it's their brand. They're upselling. They have all these crazy sweeping declarations. I mean, that's what the public wants. They're giving the credit to guys like Shannon Sharp, to Stephen A., who have these great takes on these great hot takes. But now it's forcing them to be held accountable, just like we were talking about with those coaches. It's forcing them to walk on eggshells. It's forcing them to be actual journalists, to double check their sources.
But it's not making them better journalists. It's making them complicit to their own journalism and the fact that they are biased.
Of course.
ESPN is biased.
They
love Kansas. It's Duke and it's Kansas. Kansas is
biased.
The Dorothy.
You're biased.
Of course, but I'm not Jay Bilas making millions of dollars as a journalist for ESPN.
And they have yet to come out with one little tweet, with one little take on this Kansas statement.
And I will.
On this Kansas situation,
goodness, I'll stop
it's
being
forcing
biased.
them to double check it, and I love it. I love every minute of it. And
Yeah.
did we at the 520 and Steve get it wrong by calling on Sean Miller to get fired after he was accused of paying DeAndre Ayton $100,000 to play for Arizona? Miller denied the claim, and the UA stuck by him. In this last week, Sean Miller secretly recruited and landed four-star recruit from Belgium, Omar Tillmans. The 6'7" small forward is one of the top international prospects, days before four-star guard Devonair Dutrief committed to Arizona. He's ranked as the number 16 shooting guard in the country.
This answer
What do you have to say for yourself?
It's going to really surprise you. No! I am not wrong. I stand by my convictions. I never said Sean Miller was not a good recruiter. I said he's not a great coach.
Of course.
Okay?
Yeah,
and he doesn't know what to do when he has a bunch of top All-Americans on his team, as we've seen over the last 8 years. So Sean Miller, to me, the dysfunction in the program, the FBI investigation, the way he's handled himself, including the way he's handled himself to local media, I stand by my conviction.
And
that hasn't changed.
I'll tell you what, I'm right there with you, Steve. I think this does nothing for me.
Thank you.
It does nothing for you and me together because, I mean, in the past, he's done such a good job of getting personalities, getting divas, getting these trash-talking players all in the same place, and then he can't handle the personality.
No.
He can't handle all the diva in the same room, and that's exactly the hole he's painting himself into right now.
His personality is too big.
Of
But
course.
let's be fair, okay? Because we've given Sean Miller, man, we've taken it to him.
But
let's be fair. He's done a really good job of recruiting. He still has 5 more recruits to fill for 2018. And Brandon Williams, who left the program after, you know, the ESPN report came out, or left his commitment, decommitted, I should say, is back in the picture. He named Arizona 2 days ago, on Monday, he named Arizona his one of 3 final picks to play at next year.
Of course.
So he's back in the picture.
Recruiting has never been a problem. We've seen McDonald's All-American this. We've seen international prospect that. It's never been a problem. We had DeAndre Ayton, Ristich, all of those guys all on the same team. Can he handle those guys? And can everybody underneath them play? Can they be called upon to be trusted with the depth that is fatigue, that is an 80-game season?
But we will give him props for doing a really good job of bringing in somewhat of a 2018 class. All right.
If we can.
Is it fair criticism for Dr. Augustine Romero to call TUSD's governing board racist after his contract wasn't renewed for changing grades? An October 2016 investigation by a Tucson law firm showed Romero violated both Arizona state law and district policy when he changed the grades of 6 students from F's to D's, helping them to graduate. Well, Romero did not deny the violation, but did dispute his reasoning for the matter. Yet, TUSD never disciplined him.
Here's my take on this. Here's my take on this. I don't see what the problem is. Changing grades, of course, it has to be case by case.
He should have been disciplined, though, for changing grades.
I will agree with him on that one. But it goes case by case. We need to know what those stories are before we start taking sides. So,
let me ask you this, though.
Of course.
Your parents are teachers.
Yeah.
Have they ever changed grades?
Of
Be honest.
Of course, and they've told me about it. And they told me
on a case-by-case basis,
of course.
because every situation
it's different. Every situation is different. So then, is he bickering? Is he bickering with the people above him? Is he bumping heads with them? Is there a difference in political ideology? Absolutely. There's more to this problem. There's more to this problem than him changing the grades. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back.
So should he have been fired, though?
I don't think so. With what I know right now, we don't know why he changed those kids' grades.
Okay, here's what I'm going to say. Accusations of racism in TUSD is nothing new.
Of course.
It's been going on for generations. It was going on when my parents attended TUSD schools. It was going on when I attended TUSD schools. But here's the straw, I think, that breaks the camel's back in all of this, okay? And Romero does have a valid point about racism, okay? On the other side, TUSD governing board has called Romero a racist, along with ethnic studies students who they claim were trying to overthrow the government and calling them racist against white people. And here's where it came out, okay? It didn't come out from the board. It didn't come out from Steve Nunez. It didn't come out from Arty. It didn't come out from anyone else. It came from a federal judge. In the ban for ethnic studies, a judge ruled that the law to ban ethnic studies was motivated by racism. You know who is behind it? On the state level, former Attorney General Tom Horn, former State Superintendent John Huppenthal. On the local level, Michael Hicks, who's the board president, and Dr. Mark Stegman, who's his right-hand man on the board.
They did it to themselves.
Are they racist? I don't know, but a federal judge says their motivation was racist, so maybe Romero does have a point.
Of course, of course. Well said, well said, well said.
All right, let's jump right into Do We Care? As you know, we love to tackle community issues and not just sports, break them down and ask ourselves, do we care? I'll get started. Arizona teachers who have pushed for 20% raises and more than $1 billion in new school funding, they say Governor Doug Ducey's teacher raise proposal falls short. So now they're moving to take a vote to go on strike. It's not so much do we care, it's just It's a matter of time before they go on strike, in my opinion.
And I got to give it to them. There's been marches on marches in Tucson in the past 5 to 6 years. And this is the closest that the right to assemble has actually been effective. They need to keep going. They need to keep going. This isn't a right of humanitarian. This isn't a right of ethics. These guys just need to make a livable wage. And Governor Doug Ducey gave them an insulting tug and pull, and now they have to keep going. I say they got to keep going. Send a message to everybody above them.
I agree. Doug Ducey has proposed a 20% raise by 2020. But what he hasn't said is where that money's going to come from. So, in other words, we're talking about another shell game within the state. Rob Peter to pay Paul. We don't know where that money, or we can tell you where that money should be coming from. Should be coming from the general budget. Should be coming from lottery money, which was promised to this state years ago when the lottery became existent. And it should be coming from that 0.6% sales tax that was extended to 2041. That's where that money should be coming from. But instead of sitting at the table, what gets me about Ducey is that he's running around the state campaigning and conducting this marketing campaign, getting everyone and their drunken brother to go out and say, oh, what a great plan. Gosh, Ducey, you are God.
Great
you are a savior of public education. That's what gets me.
And that's what gets me.
Strike. Teachers, go on strike.
A new Arizona law now requires doctors to ask a woman seeking an abortion if their pregnancy is a result of rape, incest, and if they've experienced domestic violence and human trafficking. The information is then reported to the state.
This is a law to shame
I couldn't
and
even
harass
say, do we care?
Women. It's a law to shame and harass women. Nowhere in this law is there funding attached to that bill that says, hey, let's help you with counseling. Hey, let's provide prenatal care or anything. How about pregnancy prevention or something, you know? Some type of sex education so that we don't have to get to this point.
Of course, and I foresee that they're just all this information that's going to get reported to the state is going to be used by the conservative media to say, look, only three or four of these girls are actually being used for what you say it is. I think it's a load of BS. We can't move on without it.
All right, really quick. Arizona is now the latest state to prohibit some child marriages. Under the law, 16 and 17-year-olds can only get married if their partner is no more than 3 years older and if they get their parents' permission. Quickly, do we care?
Yeah, of course, for the obvious reasons. Yeah, under parental consent. Yeah, this sounds great to me, but is this the news we've been reporting lately, is it?
Look, stop passing these stupid laws and sit down at the table with the teachers and solve the public education problem.
There we go. Where's your priorities? You said it 100 times before. Where's your priorities?
All right, well, you've heard the phrase, oh, no, you didn't. Well, here at the 520, we're not afraid to tell it like it is with, oh, yes, we did. I'll get started. ESPN's Adam Schefter reported last week that Seattle invited Colin Kaepernick to work out for the team. The Seahawks postponed the trip after Kaepernick declined to stop kneeling during the national anthem. I've said it on the 520 before. I am not a fan of kneeling during the national anthem, but I understand and respect one's First Amendment rights to do so. Still, let's all just stop the BS and stop preaching patriotic hypocrisy. If we truly want to be good American patriots, then we should all stand up against the ugly face of racism. How could two innocent black men get arrested at a Philadelphia Starbucks, especially the city of brotherly love, and just for waiting for a friend to show up? Apparently, the manager deemed they were a threat and called police after they refused to leave. Video captured the moment the white friend showed up for their business meeting and began confronting officers on why his black friends were being handcuffed and escorted out. Ironically, 3 years ago, Starbucks, which was once ridiculed for urging its employees to write, quote, race together on coffee cups in an effort to start a national conversation on race relations, has found itself looking in the mirror. I've heard the call to protest Starbucks. However, I applaud the company for taking a stand to close 8,000 stores on May 29th to train its employees on racial bias. It's not the entire solution, but it's a start. And it sure beats protesting the protesters who are in turn protesting the protesters. Well, equally, just as ironic, those protesting NFL players for taking a knee also have found themselves looking in the mirror. Now is a time for those of you to also stand up against racism and inequality, because By not taking a stand, you're committing the same sin you accuse Kaepernick of doing, kneeling in silence. Speak up.
Thank you, Steve. And as of April 17th, it's official. April 17th is now Tucson City Pima Men's Basketball Day. After becoming the runner-up in the NCAA tournament and getting a national city holiday, the average bear is still unaware of their current status, and the question remains, where's the love for Pima men's basketball? And to me, the question has always been, where's the love for Tucson, Arizona, the smallest big city west of the Mississippi? Everyone from high school graduates to disenfranchised men and women have dreams of one day leaving this place. Phoenix has this, Los Angeles has that, Las Vegas has this. And I promise whatever you've been searching for is already here. You're just not looking because you don't care. 2 nationally competing basketball teams, young creatives curating the fine art scene, businesses that offer security and privileged earning potential. What more does a big city have besides traffic? After a group of hometown boys sacrificed their bodies and livelihood for this city that just calls them boys that couldn't go D1, understand what the city of Tucson means to them and what they've dedicated to represent it.
I'm so proud of Tucson for making Pima College Day. And here's what I'm going to say one more time. Sean Miller, you got 2 recruits. You still have 5 recruits to fill. There's 2 at Pima, hometown kids that could make a difference on your team. One who hit 9 3-pointers in the championship game of the NCAA.
Let them hear it. Let them hear it.
Right?
Sound off.
Hello?
Sound off.
All right, well, before we end, the 520 would like to give a shout out to all 7 Wildcats in the NBA playoffs, including Jason Terry, Andre Iguodala, TJ McConnell, Solomon Hill, Jared Bilas, and of course, coaches Steve Kerr and Bruce Fraser.
Of course, and plus major props to Wildcat Jenny Finch for landing a spot in Dancing with the Stars. Finch won the 2001 Women's College World Series, a gold medal at the 2004 Summer Olympics, and a 3-time world champion.
Bottom line, our goal is to tell it like it is because it's all about giving voice to opinions, even if you don't agree.
Be sure to follow the 520 on Facebook and Twitter at the 520 Tucson.
And if you have a topic you want us to cover, let us know. I'm Steve Nunez.
I'm Arty IV. Join us next week on the 520.
Go Wildcats.